What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, and this is another Philly Talk podcast live stream. And we got a special guest today, Gail Saunders from Fourth and John, a co-founder. How you doing today, my guy?
I'm doing great, man. We talk on Eagles every day. This is what we do, man. I'm glad to be on the show, man. Appreciate you having me.
Facts. And so as you see, you can see both our Twitter handles at the bottom, but let them know a little bit where they can find you, where you do your podcast work. And of course, it's the name, but let them know where they can go deep diving for Eagles content.
Yeah, check out fourthandjohn.com. We post a lot of stuff on there. We got a lot of writers putting out content. But on all the socials, man, whether it's memes, whether it's Eagles related lifestyle posts, we're out there living this Eagles lifestyle every day. You can check me at Eagle Sessions on Twitter. That's really where I live, pretty much on Twitter. But
hey, Twitter's just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger.
I see you're making your mark on Twitter now.
Yeah, kind of. Like I said, it was funny because, like I said, I started doing this just from my cell phone. And as I got, a little bit more involved in actually making this more of a podcast and actually putting in the work, people are like, bro, what's your Twitter handle? And I'm like, listen, I don't mess with Twitter. And they're like, huh? And so I actually made Twitter because of this. So, we're going to start putting more energy into Twitter. But hey, like you said, it's that Eagles lifestyle. And we got a lot to talk about. You got half the fans out there thinking that this team is going to be another dumpster fire in 2021. And you got the optimistic fans thinking we going a little bit higher than we are. So let's just start with what is your expectations for 2021 when he just put it all in a vacuum before we start breaking down little things?
At the end of the day, like, people will look at this team and say rebuild right away. I mean, but it's hard to tell a player to their face that, hey, you're going through a rebuild, because to them it's business as normal. But the fact of the matter is you're coming in with a young quarterback, but I think he brings a different level of energy. They went through a rough season last year. I think overall they need. At the end of the day, they really need a boost to that locker room. The identity of the Eagles is kind of all over the place. They're kind of like the mystery team right now in the NFC East. You talk about like the Washington football team and what we thought about them. They get a new head coach, new players injected, new mindset, and here they are. Having a better season last year. So I think it's still up in the air, and the season has not started. So the Negadelphians, they're already chirping.
Hey, I agree. I like how you put it. It's definitely a mystery team. And when I say this team is a big question mark, you can look at a question mark both ways. You can look at a question mark positive, and you can look at it negative. And again, people are going to have different opinions about it. But when I look at this team, I look at a team that got humbled. The coaching staff got humbled, and they got their humbled butt kicked out the door. Whether we like it or not, this is a brand new coaching staff minus Jeff Stoutland, who's a GOAT when it comes to O-line coaches. This is a brand new coaching staff who's young and are going to bring some type of energy, and they're also going to try to make their mark in their careers. And you got people on this team like the Brandon Grahams, the Fletcher Cox. I believe Zach Ertz is going to be here. We're going to get into that a little bit later. You got a lot of people in here who were on the Super Bowl team, who are part of a winning culture, and they got humbled. We went 4-11-1. Like, we were bad from the beginners, of the rookies to the veterans to the coaches to everything. I think that's going to leave a little mark in the back of their head. And like you said, it's a mystery, but why did BG come back? Why is Howie Roseman making these signings like the Eric Wilson, the Anthony Harris, if we're all ready to get rebuilding? We didn't have money. He put us in a situation where we could get some pieces to kind of compete in 2021. So to me, I think it really all comes back on the play of Jalen Hurts, but I am going to keep myself level-headed for the simple fact that injuries has been our Achilles heels. And that's what I try to tell everybody when we start the conversation. We were 4-11-1 with half our team not there. If we get half our team back, does that automatically give us 2 or 3 wins right there? And that puts us now to 6-7 wins. And then if Jalen Hurts is better than people think, that can add 2 more. And so that's my mindset in the whole thing. we were in some games, even though
Yeah.
we played like garbage. But let's start with this coaching staff. What is your take on this whole coaching staff, Nick Sirianni and the young crew?
I think right off the bat, the presser that he had, he mentioned about building around player strengths, and we've seen some of our players on this team, and you've seen the way they utilize Jalen Reagor. He told you in his opening presser at the combine, saying like he sees himself as a Tyreek Hill meets Deebo Samuel. When do we see the Eagles use Jalen Reagor as such? I mean, all these players know who they are in their identity of their play style. So at the end of the day, seeing some of the players and how they were utilized, either whether it be J-Jaw, like he's a 50-50 guy. How many 50-50 balls have they thrown to this dude in his career? Not to say he's going to be an all-world beast by any means. I just feel like playing to players' strengths is probably the most important. How many times have we talked about pre-snap motion? Could we see some pre-snap motion? Put some bows on this offense. I think the excitement level of Nick Sirianni, some might play it off as he's goofy, or they don't like the way he talks, or the way he might be a little nervous. He's a little green, but at the end of the day, if he can connect with if his messaging is clear to the players and they buy in, that's where you will see the development of this offense right in front of your eyes. You mentioned Zach Ertz, you mentioned Brandon Graham. If you have some of these foundational pieces, I'm talking about like the glue guys in the locker room, I think it's very important that they build a foundation to this new roster identity, and have the younger players follow. Because, word that I was getting back from, people that were close to the players, it was like the team was kind of divided and they were running pretty much on fumes. And they said it started early. It started before the season. So that whole energy, that whole vibe, again, us as people going through the whole pandemic, we've all been dealing with stuff. Like you can't really look at a team and say, man, you should be playing ball and you shouldn't have your mind on anything. A lot of players have had family members die. I know BG's had some family members die. So a lot of people were dealing with things. So hopefully it brings a new energy. We have an idea of what this pandemic is, sort of a better control of it. Maybe it's a different season with a new off season. Our quarterback didn't even have an off season. He stepped in 4 games and played okay, played all right. So maybe an off season, a refreshed mindset, new energy. I like it, man.
Yeah, man, I agree. You still got to remember that when they take these jerseys off, they go home, they're human. And again, I'm just glad that we might have a season where there's no anonymous sources, there's no he said, she said. It's about unity. And this is a game that, unlike any other sport, it requires a full team effort. Like LeBron James can take over a game and win a game with guys like George Hill and just bums on the court. Even though George Hill's the newest Sixer. Sorry, I don't really want to call him.
How about a Rajon Rondo?
There you go, Rajon Rondo. He can do that, but in football, you need everybody to get together. And if a team is fighting any type of way in the locker room, it's going to show by little things on the field: flags, penalties, just a lack of communication. And like you said, can we just tie a bow on the gift? Like, we're throwing bubble screens, we're throwing stuff to Alshon and Greg Ward Jr. when you got guys like Quez Watkins and Jalen Reagor. And like, just this is like the biggest wowzer to me is you let Greg Ward Jr. return punts all season, right? Mm-hmm. He's returning punts. And what I like about him is he's not going to fumble the snap. He's not going to fumble the ball. He's going to catch the ball. He's going to gain you 3 to 5 yards, and you're going to start there. Jalen Reagor comes in, returns a punt for a touchdown. You never see him again. Like, that to me, as a human being, as a person who just watches the game, that does not make sense at all. And, the whole run game thing too. So I think Nick Sirianni, whether he's goofy, whether he can't really elaborate on his sentences, I think the X and O's is where he's at. I think he's a full football guy. I think he lives, breathes, eats football, and we're going to see it come out on the field. What is your take when it comes to The two players, well, not two, yeah, both Minnesota Vikings that we signed, both old first one, Anthony Harris, and newest Eric Wilson. Where do you stand on them?
I thought they were a key signing. I think I didn't think we were going to be able to get Anthony Harris. The fact that we got him at a solid rate, I think the way that the league is set up, there's a lot of players taking those 1-year deals, betting on themselves, and having the ability to play in a defense that they're familiar with. Prior during the offseason, I was like, all right, well, this is how it's going to go. You're going to see possible players who have played with in that Zimmer defense from the Vikings and come over to the Eagles. And here we are 2 players later, Anthony Harris and Eric Wilson, who see themselves in this defense where they could potentially get a second contract next year. I mean, they're all buying time on this 1-year deal. Maybe the Eagles have some more money next year. They will have more money next year, but this is how you play into another contract. And if they fit the bill, they fit the bill. I mean, Eric Wilson had a solid season last year. If you talk to any Vikings fans out there, they'll let you know he was kind of a fan favorite, took over a leadership role with Anthony Barr going down. You like his ability to lead. You like his ability to call the defense, special teams, he's versatile, plays all positions in the linebacker group. And he gets some turnovers. Which is important. But you like a guy that could get out there in space and get some be solid in coverage. So it's a solid signing. What, 3.2 mil? I like it. It's fine. But I still would like to see some other linebackers, maybe at the, maybe in the middle rounds, maybe depending on who's there, like maybe Jabril Cox, maybe that could run and cover. But I mean, we got some linebackers in the mix. Davion Taylor's still there. We'd like to see what he has to offer. But I know he's staying in Philly. I heard that he was staying in Philly to be closer to the coaches this offseason, really trying to get in the playbook. So we'll see.
Yeah. Before we get into that, real quick, shout out to my guy Jay Kills with the $5 super chat. He said the cupcake fraud under center is gone. We'll be fine. I mean, I try to be nice to any Eagle or ex-Eagle, but listen, let's be honest. Like 4-11 and 1 season, a lot of people were frauds, and he was a big part of the bad play. Same with Doug Peterson, and they're both gone. So I just want to turn the page, move on. But I agree, we definitely got to be better, 100%. And shout out to my guy Eagle Slayer with the $1 super chat. You already know my guy. Appreciate you for coming in here. But to elaborate what you said on Davion Taylor, listen, we picked him in the 3rd round. The dude is immensely talented when you look at the athletic part of his game. The reason he just has to sit on the bench is because he played a couple games in high school, a couple games in college. He's just not familiar at the linebacker position, let alone all the football's do's and don'ts. And there's a lot, especially when you're playing that linebacker position, depending on the scheme you're playing. But I agree, Eric Wilson brings to us a great covered linebacker. 3 sacks, 3 picks, 8 pass deflections, 122 tackles. He played solid, 8 tackles for loss. But what he doesn't do, or what he didn't do in the Viking system, but again, the Vikings had a bad defense and a bad year last year, is he was graded as a really poor run defender. He's a poor run defender, but I can kind of say I'm going to take a little bit off because of the Vikings were bad in general. And listen, our front four get at it when it comes to the run. As long as we got Fletcher Cox in the middle, he's a one-man band when it comes to stopping the run. And a lot of people come at me hard because I'm still a big Fletch fan, and they're saying we're paying him too much. He doesn't get the sacks. And I agree. He fell off a little bit when it comes to rushing the passer, even though I still believe he gets double teamed more than people want to admit. I'm
gonna back you on that. On that.
I try to tell him that, and I break 22 film and show them, and they're like, okay, that was that play. I'm like, all right, do you want me to pull every play out?
It's like every game he's getting double. That's
but even if his production is down when it comes to rushing a passer, this man legitly is part of the reason why we're always pretty good against the run. And last year we kind of fell off, but if you take all the wide receiver verses and the wide receiver runs away and the quarterback scrambles, we're still a good defense against the running back when we don't have Brandon Ayuk running a 50-yard wide receiver reverse, Cooper Kupp, all the guys from the Rams. You got Daniel Jones running for 80 yards, would have got a touchdown if he could stay on his 2 feet. That is the biggest part of the run game that made it, it makes the stats look like we can't stop the run. So I think Eric Wilson, a guy who came in 17, played as a special teamer. He was an undrafted free agent. He only got his chance because Anthony Barr was hurt, and he made something. That's a very productive 2020 season. So I'm ready to see. But yeah, Davion Taylor, can he get on the field? That's going to be important because that's a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, I mean, when he got drafted, it was one of those things where I knew that football IQ was going to be his weakness. You talk about, that his ability, couple years, playing the position, the fact that, he played high school ball, but he couldn't even play. He only practiced, and he would figure out if the team was winning by cell phone and trying to figure out if they won or not. And that shows his love for the game. But again, football IQ is something that he's going to have to, get in the books. And it doesn't help that it's a new defense to learn. But the fact that he's staying in Philly to be closer to everything. I'd like to see his progression, him get some time. What he had, was it an MCL sprain at the end of the year? Mm-hmm. So that hindered him as well. So we'll see. Yeah,
and again, when you look at a guy like that who's just going the extra step to get it done, you gotta pat that on the back. You gotta say that. You gotta commend it because everybody wants to enjoy their offseason, especially young players. But again, he wants to get on the field. He knows he's athletic. He's ready to go. Here's my one thing, though. With us playing a little bit more cover 2, we're going to ask more of our linebackers, I think, to drop back in coverage a little bit because you're not going to have these corners on an island as much. And we all know one corner can get it done. I mean, people want to roast Slay. He had a couple bad games, but who's not going to get beat on man-to-man coverage against Devontae Adams, the DK Metcalves? He still did his thing against Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, the Cincinnati Bengals, AJ Green, and who's the other guy on side of AJ Green?
The rookie from Clemson.
Well, no, not T. Higgins. Dang, he's slipping my mind.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, somebody in the chat will say it.
I know who you're talking about.
And I can't believe I can't think of it. Anyway, shout out to my guy, Eagles Sixer fan, keeping it real with the $4.99 super chat. He said, Mike, keeping it a buck as usual. That's what we try to do here. Like, look, I'm a fan with anybody else, and I have a number one rule.
Tyler Boyd.
There we go. Vic 3. Shout out to my guy, Vic 3 and Eagle Slayer coming in with the Tyler Boyd. He held his own against most of the NFL. He just got beat, and these were 50-50 balls that, he was in the right place, right time. Just he couldn't get it done. I think it's imperative we beef up the cornerback position. That's why we try to get Amari Jackson in the building after the Giants. And listen, I like Amari Jackson. This is not me being a hater, but no way I was willing to give him a contract like the Giants did.
Nah, 10 plus to Dory. Come on.
For 3 years.
I mean, the Titans, they're like, nah, we're not paying that. But I guess the Giants saw something they like in him. Again, this is where you get cheaper in the draft. The 2nd and 3rd round, there should be a plethora of dudes. And then if you don't get one at the top, 2nd round, it's stacked. If you're looking for the 6 foot and over, this is the big cornerback draft. I think that's where you need to invest at the position. You talk about the players that are the wide receivers that are coming in next year that we're expecting our cornerbacks to cover. We all knew last year CB2 was not. I call him Lil Tay-Tay. Avonte on the inside, I could dig it, but Avonte on the outside, you like his versatility, his ability to step in and play safety if you needed to, slot corner. I like that, cross training and everything, but we knew that he wasn't really a fit for CB2. So the fact that the way that you got to sometimes you got to let your players succeed and put them in the best positions to succeed. So if we get a CB2, and I know my CB1 is, I'm not going to say it right now. We can say it later, but
Oh no, we about to transition. Listen, we gonna talk a little Jalen Hurts, but I know everybody's dying. Listen, we 22, 20 something days away from the draft. So, I got some more profiles I gotta get my butt on, and we're gonna do some mock drafts on this channel. But yeah, let's talk about some drafts. So look, we find ourselves at 12. Real quick, I want to know your take since I haven't talked to you on this podcast. People know how I feel about it.
Right.
What was your immediate thoughts when we went from 6 to 12 and we got the compensation we got?
I mean, ideally, at the end of the day, I'm a Ja'Marr Chase fan. So I was like, the fact that there's an alpha waiting, right? With the way that the draft was being set up right before our eyes, we're like, all right, quarterback, 1, 2, 3. Could it possibly 1, 2, 3, 4? You're looking at does Penei Sewell fall? All right, that's an alpha. Does Kyle Pitts fall? That's an alpha. If someone gets scooped up, Ja'Marr Chase is waiting. So you're wondering why they did this move so early. Were there enough teams vying to move down that they felt like they could pick that spot to move down? It wasn't too far. But then my move back options, I felt there was no cornerbacks worth the number 6 pick. I felt like the players in play were Chase, Pitts, or Sewell. That was it. So now that you see these mocks and guys starting to fall, and Miami's there, and they get chasing all these mocks, you're like, oh. But if it does in fact fall to our way, my move back options with I'm okay with it's kind of Howie proof right now. Like, you can't mess this up. Like, there's JC Horn is my guy. That's my CB1. I did enough research, watched the tape. Surtain, football IQ, pedigree, legacy player, starting for Nick Saban as a freshman. You love that. Like, how could you not love his football mentality? The fact I feel like short intermediate, with him putting hands on players early, he can kind of decipher what you're doing. Quick twitch. Guys, if you get even, you might be leaving. That's where I feel like JC Horn, aggressive all day. Put your hand. He's in your face early. He's telling you like it is. He's that alpha. But Surtain is that kind of football IQ. He's not going to make too many mistakes. The communication levels is really sound. So, I mean, if Dallas is at 10, right? They want a cornerback. They could either go that way with the corners. I mean, and then if one of the playmakers fall, I mean, you got Waddle, you got Devontae Smith. Pick your poison. Both different styles of wide receivers, but both serial killers. The Slim Reaper. Again, I mean, that's if you get Devontae Smith at 12, that's smooth. That's smooth. That's smooth R&B all day, top down, chilling. His game, his technique is refined. His mental makeup is insane. Like he breaks down defenses on the fly. He's in touch with the coaches after plays. That'd be a solid pick. But the sleeper picks here, like I was watching Rashawn Slater the last couple of days. It's not sexy. He's the guy that has that versatility. They can play inside.
He's a baller.
Left side. Did you see him against Chase Young?
Stopped him in his tracks.
We play Chase Young twice a year for the next 10 years.
And he can move around. He can play guard. He can play tackle. He's better suited at the guard position, but the guy is flexible. He's not going to be like, well, I don't want to play. It's crazy. And as much as people don't want to hear offensive lineman, we're talking about Howie Roseman. You're talking about making sure this guy is on your team and producing for a while. And real quick to everybody in the chat, nobody said Chase was going to fall to 12. What he said, if you're just getting in here, is that he's a Chase stan. He loved Chase. He said skilled players can fall, but Chase is a guy who's not falling. I mean, the only thing falling about Chase is the audience falling in love. The dude is a dog, and he's going to get it done in the NFL. That's one guy I'm ready to stick my neck out on. And listen, I like Kyle Pitts too, but I was always a Chase stan. I said Kyle Pitts is good. If you really want it, I'll call him 1B. But I was always on the Chase train. And, the train got stopped. I got off at the 12th block of Philly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I agree with you. Listen, I think J.C. Horn is going to be there. I think if the draft falls the way people are aligning it to, if Kyle Pitts is off the board, Jamar Chase is off the board, I can see the Cowboys going, Surtain. I can see the Giants. See, the Giants are weird. I think they're still looking at a wide receiver. I don't know why. You got Slayton, you got Galladay now. You still got oh boy in the slot. I forgot. I'm losing Shepard.
Yep.
Really, bro? Yeah, the rich gets richer on offense.
I mean, they gotta add a Waddle to that or a Devontae Smith. That would be kind of crazy.
I think they would add Devontae Smith, which, like you said, pick your poison. Waddle, 21 yards per catch, bro. Like
in the SEC,
and the SEC, and people are sleeping on him because of Devontae Smith's year. But listen, when it was Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Waddle was still, you know what I mean? Look, shout out to Devontae Smith. You cannot sleep on production, and so I think if he's there, I think Howie's going to pull the trigger.
It's funny. He's like built like Todd Pinkston, but he's a baller, bro. Like his the way that he sets the defensive backs up, and like he's setting like, I mean, he's stacking these dudes and they're like lost. Like the way he gets separation is so clean, man, and the way he's just a technical beast. And he runs like a gazelle. Like people are like, he's not as fast as Waddle, but he's a strider, dude. I mean that national championship game, 12 catches in the first half?
Yeah,
$1 something,
just killed it with 3 touchdowns, I think it was.
Yeah, and then the people, also talk about Waddle saying that like, oh, if Waddle is healthy the whole season, it's kind of safe to say Devontae Smith doesn't win the Heisman. Because that production that Smith, and kudos to Smith, he did the work. I mean, he's beating double teams. He's being targeted out there and making the contested catches, going over the middle. He had an amazing season, bro. I mean,
what the crazy part is when they were going against, I think it was Ohio State, and Waddle was kind of ready to come back. I remember, you could see Devontae Smith. He might love Waddle, but he was a little frustrated at the podium when the first 4 questions were, how do you think Waddle's going to come back into the offense? How do you think you're going to fit with Waddle? How do you think Waddle's going to be? How do you think this? And he's like, bruh, he didn't say, but you could tell in his face, he's like, what about me? What about me? I just won a Heisman, and shout out to him, like you said. But listen, if I'm gonna try to be as realistic as these mock drafts, which you can't really swear by them. If it's Waddle on the board or J.C. Horn, who are you taking?
I mean, that's tough, man. That's tough. I don't think that's gonna be a scenario. I think one's gonna be because in my eyes, it's either gonna be one or nothing. So like,
you don't think? Hold on. All right. So
I'm feeling like those players could be gone. So by the time we get to like Surtain could be gone, like Waddle could be gone, Smith could be gone. So we're gonna either be left with, it's gonna either be one of those guys. It's gonna either be like a J.C. Horn. It's gonna be a Smith, or it's gonna be a Waddle after, and you're gonna have to be like, well, that's what you're left with.
You don't think 2 of the 3 are gonna be there?
Yeah, I think J.C. Horn's stock is like, it's tremendous right now.
It's rising. Yeah.
Like you just
could you see him get picked before Patrick Surtain?
You could, if that's what you're looking for in a cornerback. Like their styles are different. Like,
yeah,
like Surtain plays press man and off man, and he's technical. But if you're looking for a alpha that's going to come in there and psycho killer Norman Bates every week, that's what I'm like. Why would you not want that? Like, and people like, how long in Philly we've been dying for a cornerback to like be alpha? Like, I love Darius Slay, right?
Yeah.
But
listen, we want a cornerback who does this but also backs it up
and breaks your finger. And like, could you see J.C. Horn making a video like Darius Slay when he was talking about DK Metcalf? I don't see it. I don't see JC. He's all business. He's like, nah, I'm not
Darius
losing
Slay,
reps.
I seen a sign of Darius Slay. I thought Darius Slay was more of that throw down business type guy. He's a little bit more ha ha he kick back. You know, I'm gonna play
He's
my
still
game.
he's a jokester.
I
I
like him.
like.
I like him though. But yeah, I didn't see that sign because I only paid attention to his play, not his personality when he was on the Detroit Lions. You know what I mean? And he was a dog over there. He was a dog. But then now you see him doing some interviews. You know, you see them on the IG live talking about some.
He's funny,
Man,
man.
I was
He's
trying to
funny.
be nice to DK Metcalf, and he was so rude to me. What do you
He's
mean?
funny, man. He's funny. But I feel like that would be a nice combination. CB1, CB2, future CB1 brings another added element to the group. That mix. If you go back and look at the group picture to picture, like you're like, this is our group right now. We need depth. I mean, we had a tire salesman, Michael Jaquette, playing cornerback for us against Dallas. I mean, we need some depth. We need some playmakers, and we need size, man. This dude is 6 foot, speed. I mean, the whole elements there: speed, size. You can't go wrong, dude.
I agree. Real quick, shout out to my guy Kevin Bacon with the $4.99 super chat. He said, "Can Devontae Smith have similar production with an additional 7 to 10 pounds added to his frame?" Let me get your take. I know you called him the Slim Reaper. Shout out to my guy Kevin Bacon, and he reaps while being slim. Now, college weights. If you're you can minus or plus 5 pounds to that, good or bad, ugly, sad. You know what I mean? They don't be truthful with that. You can go to 3 different websites and see like a 7-pound difference. With that being said, he's measured at 170. If you know you're 170, step on the scale, my guy. He didn't want to step on the scale. So
I'm cool with that, man.
yeah,
I'm like,
but do you think real quick, do you think he has to add weight? And if he does that change his game?
I think we'll add muscle. Like, if he adds that muscle and not like, I'm not trying to have him like an extra neck over here. Like this is long
off season style, right?
Just work on just try to thick up a little bit. 5 pounds, it's fine. But it's like when Deshaun Jackson was coming out of the draft, I'm looking at him and people are like, no, don't draft him. Like he's buck 167. I'm like, broken play. Like if he did that at 167 and balled out, that's the dude won the Heisman at 170 or 169, whatever he is. He won the Heisman at that weight. Doesn't mean he can't play with an extra 5 pounds. I think he should be fine. Kevin, I think it should be fine. It should be all right.
Well, I want to get back to what you were saying though. You look, so I know this is the Eagle podcast, but you're kind of scaring me saying that you only think one of them are going to be there. So we know 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks, right? Mm-hmm. We hear that the Atlanta Falcons are possibly shopping their pick. You know what I mean? I think that there are crazy enough people who fallen in love with Kyle Pitts. According to Schefter made it clear today when I was listening to the Fanatic when he was on there that people are possibly willing to go to the fourth overall pick to get Pitts. And Chase is going to be there. Penei Sewell is going to be there. Rashawn Slater is not a sexy pick, but is a crucial core piece to a rebuilding team. You don't think there's going to be some skill players when it comes to, if you look at these 4, Surtain, Smith, JC, and Waddle. So 2 corners, 2 wide receivers. And don't forget Micah Parsons. I know his off the field issues might make him fall back. You don't think he's going to get picked before us? And also, I want to get your take. Do you think he's at all on the Eagles' radar if he's there at 12?
I think I'll go with Parsons first. I always see Parsons comments in my live streams, and I see a whole bunch of Parsons early. Hey, we don't do that. They don't do that over here. It's like they don't value the linebacker position like that. Not to say we don't. I mean, yeah. I see the JOK love out there also. I mean, but I feel like right now they feel like they probably can get players later. And you just brought a guy in that has familiarity with the defense. I think they're okay. They're gonna go cheap right there. It's like they'd rather wear Gucci somewhere else, but then they got some Bobo shoes on, and that would be the linebacker position. Micah Parsons, the off the field stuff does scare me a little bit. Did you dive deep into that?
I'm kind of scared. Listen,
It's kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy.
So you don't think he's gonna get picked before we are on the board?
Well, if Denver, some people were talking Denver. I think his ability is crazy, man.
Phenomenal.
I mean, you talk about a linebacker that could, in our defense, that could play the middle of the field. You could delay blitzes. You could run him off the edge if you wanted to. He's definitely that chess piece, but I feel like they don't want to do that over here. And again, if you pick that top 10 player, right? Top 12 player, that's kind of a franchise. God, the first, Philly, we'll find your old tweets. What was Carson Wentz's first tweet that Eagle fans found? I'm gonna cut off my You think what they're gonna find when they look at the Parsons things and they see I'm gonna Sandusky you, and you're like, bro, that's it's gonna be talked about heavy, and I don't know if that's the route they want to go. I'm not. We've all made mistakes in the past, and I feel like, he said if a team doesn't believe that I'm a changed man and I haven't grown from this, I don't want to be there anyway. So I feel like if he interviews well, he might excite some teams. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah, the ability's there. And real quick before I get to my next, not my next thing, but I still want to get your take on this one in particular thing. Listen, we got over 100 people in the chat. Make sure you smash that like button. It's greatly appreciated. It helps push this content out to other great Philadelphia fans. And the NFC East haters always up in here watching too low key. And also, listen, go hit my guy up on Twitter at Eagle Sessions, and definitely type in YouTube 4th and John. You'll see they have a podcast on YouTube. They got a website. They 100% legit. This guy has great profiles on all the guys we're talking about, the J.C. Horns, the Devontae Smiths, the Micah Parsons. He got a lot of them. Go check him out. And his crew is legit as well. So definitely smash the like button for your boy. It's easy. It's free. It don't even cost a thing. You got some ride or dies in here giving me super chats. At least thing y'all could do is smash the like. Appreciate it. But real quick, so let's just say Micah Parsons is before us, whether it's the Giants, Denver, a Rashawn Slater, a Pat, you don't think we can have either Surtain and Smith? You don't think we can have the choice of two corners, two receivers at all? No, not two. I mean, not all four of them.
It could be one. It could be one. It could be one wide receiver only. It could be a Waddle. I feel like it could be a Waddle, and it could be J.C. Horn.
But not both.
Not both. I don't believe so. I think someone's gonna be enamored with after the interviews. Like if you interview him and you're just like, bro, this guy's on a different level.
So wait. So you think Waddle? So I'm talking about out of Waddle, Smith, Surtain, and Horn. Out of them four, 3 of them are going before 12. 3 of them, because I'm not saying I what I'm trying to say is I think either it's going to be a stud wide receiver and a stud corner. That's it. But still a choice of them two, mix and match who you want to say it is, whether it's Smith, Waddle, Surtain.
Yeah, I think it would probably be Waddle and Horn.
Yeah,
because I feel like Surtain, I think the Cowboys either go Surtain or Rashawn Slater. I mean, Rashawn Slater is even if you look at the way that our line is set up from center to right, it's a 30-30 club over here, man. It's borrowed time if you think about it.
Correct.
And people, it might be if we get Kwity Paye, I'm gonna be a little upset.
I'm gonna be upset. I like the talent, but I'm gonna be upset because it's listen, you can say the same thing with the D line. The D line's on borrowed time too. But listen, borrowed time on the offensive line, borrowed time on the defensive line. You got to start making moves to that. But listen, I'd rather rock out with the borrowed time because there's some positions we got no time. We got 0 time. Time's up. The payphone shut off.
I feel like you need a corner. You need some skill players. Your wide receivers. I mean, the last time the Eagles have drafted a wide receiver to that went over 1,000. How long ago was that, man? It was that was Jeremy Maclin. That was the
Yeah.
last time we've drafted a wide receiver to go over 1,000. You know, Jordan Matthews, 997 yards. Okay, 3 yards. 3 yards. See, real ones know 3 yards away. So it's one of those things, man. Like you got to invest. Like if you want to win, you got to, like, what's that the saying? If you don't bet, you can't win.
Exactly. You can't win the lottery unless you buy a ticket. You know what I mean? I'm like, one day I'm going to win the lottery. Well, I haven't played in 6 years. Maybe I should get a ticket. You know what I mean? Real quick, shout out to my guy Kevin Bacon again, coming with that flavor. Another $4.99 super chat. He said, would a linebacker with coverage skills like JOK and a third round talent at the cornerback position be as good as taking a guy like Horn with the 12th overall pick and Bateman in the second? Listen, I'm a big Bateman's fan. I don't think he's going to get past the likes of like between 19 and 26. I think he's gone. Bateman.
I know Jeremiah was saying that Bateman could fall into the second. I feel like if Bateman was a potential trade back into the first option, maybe if they feel, I think he was giving me some poor man with some Justin Jefferson vibes a little bit. Like he's a well-rounded, crafty wideout, not as athletic as I think Justin Jefferson.
Someone compared him to Juju. Not with the shenanigans, but like the Juju style, not afraid to go across the middle, not the most flashiest, but gets it done.
His quarterback play was garbage too. So I mean,
yeah.
If you put him in a
TikToking, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I feel like, you know, shout out to Kevin. I mean, you know, I love the JOK idea and the love for JOK. I just don't feel like the Eagles. Like I look at JOK and I'm like, I love him, but I don't think the Eagles love him, so I move on.
12.
I just move on completely because I know they're not going that route.
Yeah,
and I put it in my head early that I don't think they're going to get JOK. But you talk about all the cornerback talent. There's cornerback talent, you know, in the second and third round that can fall.
So realistically, where do you? I know we value linebacker better. We value linebacker better than the Eagles do, but where do you see if the Eagles pull a linebacker out? You're thinking like the third round, because we do got 2 third-round picks,
maybe third or fourth.
Yeah,
like you could even use those 2/3, move back into the second, which would be a cheaper option than moving back up in the first. You know, if they find somebody falling at the bottom of the second, they can move back up. That would be nice because, you know, we got 11 picks. We're not using all 11 picks.
No.
I feel like we'll have 8 picks by the end of the day. But I think, you know, they don't value the linebackers like we do. I would love to make a T-shirt like linebackers are people too.
Linebackers matter.
Linebackers matters. Yeah, I'd wear that too. But they just don't. And that's why I look at like guys like Jabril Cox. Because he's a great coverage linebacker, 900 plus snaps on an island. He's got the size, 230, 6'3", showcases skills in coverage.
And we do got that 4th round pick now, because part of that trade back scenario was we gave up our 156 5th round pick and we did acquire Miami's 4th at 123, I want to say. So it's interesting. Look, we have a 1st round pick, of course, at 12. We got the second round pick at 37, 2 thirds, and our 4th is at 123. So we have 5 picks in the top 150. Let's get some. Let's accumulate talent. But I wouldn't be opposed to going up in the 1st round at the end, maximizing our top end talent candidates.
I mean, also, no one's really saying like defensive end. You know what I mean? Like Jalen Phillips out of Miami. I mean, he's been getting a lot of love. I think he, you know, besides the concussions that he's had in his past, I feel like if he was there at the top of the second, I'd be like, I mean, that's a factor. You know, how many guys that Brandon Graham is what, like 46,
give or take.
I mean, he can't be here forever. Like you. I mean, let's see. Derek Barnett, he's here for one more year, maybe. Like it's a one-year deal for them.
Young.
Yeah, and then we have Mr. No Sweat. who I like. I love the breakout season last year, but we still need another guy though.
Yeah, yeah. And let's be honest. Look, the cornerback play is going to automatically be better if you continue to upgrade the D line, because that's where it starts. It starts in the trenches. Like, receivers get more time, quarterbacks have more time when the offensive line is where it's at. Same with the secondary and the linebackers. It makes their job easier when the line is putting pressure. When you have a quarterback able to go through their full progression, 3, 4 of them, somebody's going to be open. It's the NFL. The reason our corners looked, the reason we were able to go to the Super Bowl with the likes of Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby was because of Chris Long, the rotation, Fletch, BG, all these guys ate. You know what I mean? They ate, they rotated, and we got great play from the D line. We were top 5, top 3 with the D line. So I think you still got to always add to that. But it's like you said, borrowed. We're in a bad situation because really every position that matters, either we have nobody there or you have somebody who's on borrowed time. Yeah. And whether this is a full rebuild or like some people want to call it a retooling, I think we're doing a good job making it look as much as a retooling than a rebuild, because you're getting guys on prove-it deals who are 29, 27 in the likes of Harris and Wilson. And we're going to see. But real quick, shout out to my guy Vic 3 with the $2 super chat. He said, what round are you guys looking at a safety? What's your take on that?
I mean, if let's see, I can't pronounce his name from TCU. Moehrig. If they love him, but my guy,
ain't he supposed to be like a first round, late first round, early second round?
Yeah, late first round. Like he could, if he falls into the second, you know what I mean? But for me, Richie Grant, my guy from UCF, like he had a tremendous Senior Bowl. I feel like he's a guy that I was hoping to get in the 3rd round, but his play at the Senior Bowl and I mean, he just was recently Dane Brugler's #1 safety on his board. Like he moved from he moved up, and I'm like, man, there goes my guy. But if he's around there, back end of the second, you want to move up and get him. He's a guy that's all over the place. Great IQ, football IQ. We had Aaron Robinson on our Talk to Prospect series, and he talked so much about Richie Grant and what he meant to his career. So I feel like, man, if he's there, I'd be all in on Richie Grant.
Yeah, and
special teams. He had tons of snaps in special teams as well. So he'd be started right away.
Facts. And people are going to say, well, what about Rodney McLeod? What about Kevon Wallace? What about the guy we just signed? It's still a lot of question marks. You got Kevon Wallace, who I still have high hopes for coming out of Clemson. But then you also got to understand that Rodney McLeod just tore his ACL, I think it was. He's going to be back in the middle of the season, maybe later, because he tore it at the end of the season. Anthony Harris had a great 2019 season, but when you look at the 2020 stats, other than being at the ball for tackles, he was MIA. And again, I discredit that Vikings defense last year in general. So I do think he has ball hawk skills. But the Eagles find themselves in a weird position because we did go all in after the Super Bowl, and we went all in on some of the wrong players, some of the wrong situations. These players were good, but the situation and then the injury bug, like the blue tent is just,
that's like the everywhere.
Club. It's the club.
Like, yo, let me get a drink. They got a bartender in there. They got waitresses. I mean, I was like, it's like the Philadelphia if healthies. You know what I mean? Like
the Philadelphia if healthies. Let me ask you this though: do you think, again, we changed medical staffs, right? We've done that already. Do you think it had to do? Do you think it could have something to do with just the coaching staff and the preparation? Like, because I'm losing things to point at. Didn't we? We went.
I mean, I heard from a player, and I'm not gonna say he said he said those guys were trying to kill us in there.
There you go.
He's like, this is the worst group that I've ever been a part of. And he, I'm not going to say his name, but the way that he said it, I was like, it's like that, bro. But again, man, you saw all these injuries out here. I mean, guys are injured.
Man, well, I'm glad you said that. And shout out to the guy who said that. We, like you said, we're not going to name him, but bro, this was my take. Like after this year and the injuries came up again, people keep saying about the medical staff. We went through numerous medical staffs and the same issues are there. So like just this offseason, I think it was a couple streams ago. I'm thinking it might have to do, and this is just me being just common sense smart. Like, bro, if you switch this and switch that and the same things keep happening, but there's something still in place, it had to be the coaching staff, whether it's how they prepare OTAs, is that in the third practice. And I'm thinking, hopefully Nick Sirianni got a good hold on a routine. I wouldn't be mad if he hit Chip Kelly up about the milkshakes or the smoothies.
I would pay $100,000 for the secret sauce for the recipe. That's got to be worth something because players weren't getting injured. But the fact talking about the secondary, name one cornerback we've developed here.
Developed.
How many we sent picks second and thirds? Allah was Sidney Jones and Rasul, but like how many guys have we developed here? And that's an issue. So I feel like, well, there's some Howie stands out there that don't find any fault in Howie in that. I'm like, yo, we haven't developed players on the back end. So if you're bringing in coaches that aren't helping the system or limiting some of our players, that's an issue. So Kayvon Wallace, is he a guy that we could rely on? It's yet to see. But I feel like he's trying to bring that vibe. I'm hoping that's a real thing. But again, I would add another safety in that mix. You have one more safety. Like if I brought Richie Grant in here, that's a guy that, like, looking at some of this post from Aries right here, that communication level has to be tied in from the front to back.
Mm-hmm.
You bring a guy in like that, bring that mold of a solid crew. Obviously McLeod would be that guy right away, but he's injured. So you got to bring somebody in.
Facts. And real quick, shout out to my guy Ari Starwin. He's a Giants fan, so it is what it is. I'm
gonna take that shout out back.
$10 super J said G-Men and Cowboys went for receivers and tight end combinations, so you need a B safety for Slay to be flawless. I think just keeping a safety back there is going to make him better because Slay was on an island, on the lonely island all year last year. But I do want to ask you one quick thing before I get to after I get to the super chat. AK Eagles 88 with another $5 super chat. Appreciate you, my guy. He said, "Hey, what do you guys think of the jersey number restrictions being reduced? I'm excited to see all the number changes and low numbers on the field on defense." He said,
as an Eagle fan, you should be excited a little bit. But then if you're a jersey collector or if you're the guy that only rocks one jersey and you're like, you're like, man, I gotta get a new jersey. My girl bought me a jersey with my last name Saunders on it in a 1. And I was like, I might just rock that. Because the amount of jersey changes out here, I rock my Cunningham, my Kelly Green, and then I had a Malcolm Jenkins, and then I had a Sproles, and then I had a Wentz. I bought the Vapor joints, and I'm like,
everybody you get is leaving the team.
I said I have 3 Wentz jerseys that haven't even been worn. The Vapor ones, the 150 ones that were on sale for like $75. I'm a psycho, but I still have them and I'm not even going to wear them. So I might even give one away. So hit me up in the DMs.
There you go. I don't think anyone's going to take it.
They still have my theory is, right, if your jersey ends up at Ross for $39.99, it's a wrap. Ertz, $39.99. Wentz, $39.99. It's over.
Yeah, but they might be pulling them off. They may be pulling the Zach Ertz ones off Ross and sending them back to the NFL shop. Because listen, I had my guy Dave Spadero on the show, and I was really asking him, like, look, like Ertz is going to leave, right? But when you look at the situation, it's like, what are we going to get? Like, we put his name out there, and when we start getting some rumorville Buffalo Bills, blah blah blah, wanna think about taking him. It's like, if you're not going to offer a 4th round or better, we might as well let him rock out as an extra security blanket for Jalen Hurts, because we're not getting Kyle Pitts, and we'll get a conditional pick for him because he's an unrestricted free agent. So it's like, if you really want to put Zach Ertz's best interest plus the Eagles, it's like a 5th round pick to get rid of him a year early. So we save $4 million, get a 5th round pick. We might get a 5th round pick regardless if we just keep him. So unless a team offers us something juicy, and I'm not talking no first, but like a 4th or a 3rd, or we can combine them in for something in the draft trade, like maybe Zach Ertz and our 3rd to move up into the 2nd or something like that.
I would sprinkle him into a little trade to move up if possible. But I was listening to his brother's podcast at one point, Nick Ertz, and he was saying that he's like, even my brother will tell you, like, if you're gonna go into a rebuild, then it's just worth to get rid of me now. And like he's disclaimer, I'm not speaking for my brother, but I'm just saying my brother would tell you that. So I feel like the vibe of last season, we saw a different version of Ertz. You saw a guy that was probably thinking too much, a guy who was trying to think about his contract and figure things out. And I feel like we saw him in Carson not on the same page. I mean, that's like a 1-2 punch. The dynamic duo was off. Even the fake crowd was booing those two. They were out of sync. So I feel like I like Ertz. I mean, I love Ertz. I love Ertz to the end. He was on that Super Bowl team, but I feel like if they have to move on, it is what it is.
Hey, listen,
get some value while you can.
Oh yeah, look, I was a guy who was early in this, and I saw both sides. I tried to stay in the middle because at that time when I was talking about it, it was really risky to say. But I was off season of last year. I was like, listen, I know people love Zach Ertz, but let's be honest. We need to think about what we're going to do with Dallas Goedert. Remember, going into the 2020 season, Dallas Goedert came off a productive 2019, had a couple drops and fumbles, but he was the big play guy. He got injured in 2020, but I was kind of thinking like now is the off season where you can move Zach Ertz. It will make sense. It's not going to be the popular thing because, man, I love Zach Ertz. You know what I mean? I really do. And I thought he was still performing, but when you look at he wants a contract. You look at Dallas Goedert being a 2nd round pick. There's no 5th year option. Dallas Goedert's coming up. Zach Ertz wants money. We heard the dispute for like 2 years now. Now, since we sit here today, it's been about 2 years about the contract, how we screwed him. He kept saying, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. And now we're in a situation where he can't get got. I'm like, if we would have parted with him in the offseason, we would have had leverage. I just think we lost the leverage in trade bait because it's like, bro, he's going to walk soon. Yeah. So
but I think they move on from it. The writing has been on the wall. Like even before Goedert was drafted, he was my guy. And I was like, maybe this is the theory. I was like, Goedert was one of my top 10 prospects. And then when we got him, when we moved back, I was like, that's the writing on the wall. You bring in a Goedert and this is exactly how it's playing out right now. In this 4 years later, I mean, this is really what it is. Like the writing's on the wall. I mean,
I agree. I agree totally. I mean, say 4 million, you say 4 million, but I mean, I just want to get some type of compensation. I don't want the guy to be cut, to save money and whatnot. That's just like a hurt piece.
I'll have him clean up the link with a broom. Like I'm gonna get my money's worth somehow.
Hey, shout out to my guy 5 Across Show Lips. I love it. Channel member in the building and everything. He said, what up, G? It's Tyson from When We Won the Super Bowl podcast. Stay up, Philly for life.
What's up, man? Good to see you, bro.
Out to you. And Eric, shout out to you with another $5 super chat. He said, I still rock my Macklin and Samuel jerseys. Listen, when the dude's off the team and not playing, you could still rock all them bad boys. The Samuels, the Macklins. I used to rock the D-Jacks before he came back. Thought he was never coming back. The B-Dogs, the B Westbrooks, all these guys. Donovan McNabb is still my guy. Never understood why he got so much hate. You know what I mean? I would defend him to the end.
Hey,
yeah, 100%.
Hey, Mike, number 5 will always love you. Okay. Just want to let you know that.
Let you know that. Yeah, that's facts. But we going in right on an hour. We got 120 people still in here. We going to chop it up a little bit more if you still have time, right?
I'm here, man.
I'm here.
Let's do it.
make sure you guys smash that like button. It's easy, it's free, don't cost a thing. And when you're done watching this podcast, no reason why you don't go to the search bar, type in Fourth and John, and hit that red button. So
appreciate y'all.
Easy,
Appreciate
it's simple. It don't cost a thing. Like the Philly Talk podcast stream that y'all watching. You know what I mean? And go then and hit Fourth and John in the search bar. But Gail, so we talked and we started this stream. Now we got 117 people in here. We started this talking about our realistic expectations for the 2021 season. We talked about the draft. We talked about a lot of things. We're gonna finish up kind of elaborating on them things now that we got a different audience in here. But again, in the draft, we know we all got to hit. We got to hit this draft, and it's important we set up this draft to set up next draft to start creating something. Bring the new blood in. See what we can do with it. You talked about the development of a lot of players. Somehow they leave us, and they're not superstars. But look at Rasul Douglas. Look at Sidney Jones. Look at people who leave us who were injured and get healthy. Look at people who come here who are healthy and get injured. What is your take on just making sure we hit this draft? And again, for the new audience, your preference at 1.
My preference at 1 is it's either wide receiver or JC Horn. Like I've been pushing the CB1 JC Horn all day. I feel like he gives you an opportunity to finally solidify CB2. Teams aren't going to come in here and start bullying our CB2. They're not going to take advantage of the size of or lack of sizes of our DBs out there, or lack of speed. We're not going to have corners out here that are playing 9 yards back for no reason. We'll have some really nice 1-2 punch with a Slay and a Horn. Again, Surtain, if he was still there, again, he's a plug and play as well. But I'd rather go with Horn. I think Devontae Smith, he gives you a playmaker right off the bat. Football IQ's high. The game is impeccable. Route running is crispy. Slim Reaper at 12 would be nice. Are we talking about round 2? Is that where we're going?
Well, yeah, I wanted to transition to that. And that's where, like, again, you got teams picking, so you can never predict it. But like, we hear the first round cornerbacks that could be there, and realistically, you got the Farley, Horn, and Surtain. One of them is going to be gone, I think, automatically. I think Farley's technique is good, but the injury history just scares me a little bit. You got to bank on this first round pick to be good. And if it was another team, yeah. And again, like we talked about earlier in this thing, I think a lot of the injuries happen because of the coaching staff, but still, right, until I see it, I'm very nervous of injured players. What do you think you get better value if we went cornerback first and wide receiver early in the second, or the vice versa? So like, let's say this. Who are your top second round corners that you think are going to be there?
I mean, you can look at the cornerbacks from Georgia: Tyson Campbell, Eric Stokes. I feel like Kelvin Joseph out of Kentucky is surprising some folks. I feel like the other person like that could be slipping to the first. Greg Newsome out of Northwestern. But I feel like it's like, think about the playoffs. Think about the cornerbacks who are manning those positions on these playoff teams in the NFL. Those guys are drafted in the first round. The Tre'Davious Whites, the Stephon Gilmores, the Jalen Ramseys out there. You got an opportunity to take a dog and a dude with an alpha personality. You do it. I mean, you have to invest. You look at Marcus Lattimore, a guy who's drafted around that range. What he meant to the Saints. Like, this is how you redevelop your roster. This is how you get better. And I feel like if you draft Horn in the first, right, or Surtain in the first, you can come back in the second round, pick a Terrace Marshall, who's a size speed option from LSU. He can give you, you can play that wide type if you want to play him out of slot. But he's got some speed for his size. In the second round, if you're trying to get some trickery, like kind of his skill set's kind of close to Jalen Reagor, but Kadarius Toney, wide receiver, will be around there. Then again, we talked about Rashad Bateman. Like if you got a Horn and a Bateman, that would be nice.
That'd be the dream scenario. I think
that would be nice. So I feel like we're in a situation, and that's why when I'm looking at the draft, like the way that the board is set up, and I feel like it fits our needs perfectly. 1, 2, and they might even shock you. I mean, there's some really talented tackles in this draft. And interior, I mean, you look like a guy like Creed Humphrey from Oklahoma. I mean, Landon Dickerson has the injuries in his profile, but if Stoutland loves this guy, and because of the injuries, he falls, you know, that could be an interesting option. I feel like 3rd round, I'd be okay with a lineman, or moving back up for a lineman in the 2nd round. That 2nd round, there's a lot of talent in that 2nd round. So
yeah.
And if we get back in there, it would be nice.
And I do agree. I think the wide receiver pool and the cornerback pool are pretty deep. I think they're deep enough to feel like you can get a guy, especially where we're picking at in the 2nd round, 37 overall. We do have the arsenal to package a couple later picks and one of the 3rd round picks. Again, we got 5 picks in the top 150. If we want to go 4 in the top 150, but we want to try to maximize the hit rate, because again, it is Howie Roseman and the scouting team doing that. It's still always a little nervous. Like, you know, we've missed on some guys, but I don't really want to go there because we can't change who's picking. So it's like, why cry over spilt milk? You know, we know what can happen. We just got to hope for the best. But I think, honestly, it's easier to learn wide receiver in this league the way it's going, to be productive as a wide receiver, than to be a guy who's going to be left out at CB2 or CB1. I think it's hard. You know, you have to have short-term memory as a corner, you know, with the amount of blitzing you to do with these speedy quarterbacks are running now. You know, I mean, you got it's the new breed. So you need speed all over the place. You need to maximize your blitz packages, and you will keep some cover 2 safety help over there. But look how much Jim Schwartz ran single high, and single high is across the league. Pete Carroll does it. You know, there's a lot of single high. And so you're putting these corners in tough situations. So, you know, right now I'm leaning towards the corner number 1. And then if you really still want to beef up the wide receiver position, you go there round 2 and you figure it out from there. It just stinks that we have to keep going back to positions that we're already picking because they're not producing. But I'm not fully out on Jalen Reagor.
No, not at all, man. I mean, I say it again, man. Like it was Justin Jefferson I had ranked higher, but I felt like it was Reagor would be the pick, and then they picked him, and people were like, "Why were you?" I just said it made sense, and it is what it is. But they didn't really utilize it in the way.
Let me ask you this: what was your idea or description of Reagor before he played for the Eagles, and how do you feel about him now? How much did it differ, or how much was it? Again, he wasn't used right. What was your mindset before and after?
I just felt like there was plays where I wanted to see a little bit more effort from him. But overall, I felt like I did see the flashes. I did see a little bit of frustration in his game. I felt like as much as people will talk about, make excuses for like Wentz, and like how many players you can go across the board: Wentz, Ertz, Alshon. How many players had the worst career years of their career? Everybody. So then why are you going to expect a rookie to come in on his first year in a pandemic state to have a great rookie year off of injury as well? So I mean, again, like I think he still has potential, and I think if anyone's going to use him the right way, hopefully it's Sirianni. So
yeah, listen, when it comes down to it, when I almost at the end of every live stream, when I start seeing the chat, and when I'm by myself, I really try to answer all the chat. It's hard to do it when you're having a conversation. But shout out to everybody in the chat. We still got $1.20 in there. Smash that like button. It's easy. It's free. Don't cost a thing. But I agree. It's like, listen, everybody had their career worse. And it's like, I can't get a general consensus on anybody's future game. I can't judge any Philadelphia Eagle that's left here from what I saw in 2020. Now, there were some positives, but even the positives, I'm going to hold off. I'm going to actually act like it didn't really happen in my mindset, because you can't expect the Jalen Hurts, the Jalen Reagors, the young guys that were good at times and sometimes underwhelming to perform when guys like Fletch had a little bit of a down year. Well, he made the Pro Bowl off just the name, but like you said, everybody had a down year. I mean, play calling, coaching, personnel,
I mean,
players, attitude. It was just like, I don't even know how we won 4 games.
even look at Miles Sanders. His ability to catch out of the backfield was great the year before. Look at last season, bro. Like he led the team in drops. Like there was a little disconnect between the players, and I mean the whole vibe was off. But again, like I don't expect the same. I feel like everyone's a little bit more locked in. I feel like and this is the word I'm getting from players in the way that Jalen, I mean, they're gravitating towards Jalen, and they have been since like week 3, and that they appreciate what he's bringing to the table. I think the whole pre-draft of Jalen Hurts getting, even before he even got drafted by the Eagles, the scouting report on him is like, once you get him in your locker room, he will win the locker room over. I mean, just like he was a freshman when he came into Alabama and he unseated the starter as a freshman, and they didn't think that would happen, but he ended up winning the job there. But his game has progressed. I feel like the same guy that was at Alabama, he looked like a different dude at Oklahoma. And he did make some nice throws last year, and stuff that he created on the move was interesting. He's a natural runner in space. A guy who, how many 1,300 yards rushing in a season?
Yeah.
I mean, that mesh concept, when those lanes open up and those cross routes, he hits those lanes with natural ability. He can get to the edge. Again, and if with a healthy line next year, hopefully we could see something different.
Yeah, I agree totally. Like we talked about this a little bit backstage. I just don't understand how the fan base is so divided on Jalen Hurts. I mean, maybe it's still some Carson love. Maybe it's just some, them not liking the guy without giving him a chance. But as the same way we saw him kind of flounder in the Cowboys game, and he was a little underwhelming in the Washington game, even though he probably would have got it done if we didn't go all Nate tank filled on him. I like what I saw. Like, you cannot watch the Saints game and even in the loss in the Cardinals and not say, wow, he showed me some things. Like, listen, this is a small little achievement, but every quarterback had 2 starts. Everyone did. Now, some quarterbacks were not who they are today in their first 2 starts, but to be the only quarterback with 500 passing yards and 150 rushing yards in the first 2 games, like, it's something. It's not the Lombardi, it's not a Pro Bowl, but it's like you see something there. And if you got something there and you got a coaching staff, that's what you got to do. You got to bring it out. You got to bring it out. You got to play to your player strengths. And that's one thing I love from Nick Sirianni. He loves to point out we had 3 different quarterbacks. We tailored the offense to Jacoby Brissett. We kind of changed it up for Andrew Luck. We kind of changed it up for Phillip Rivers, but the system was still there. But you do that, and it shows. If you look at Andrew Luck's last year, they were top 7 in the NFL in pass attempts. When you look at Jacoby Brissett's first year, they were top 7 in the league in rush attempts. Duh, you got Andrew Luck slinging it. Throw the ball. That's the strength of the Colts. You got Jacoby Brissett, more of a game manager. They run the ball. And I just think if the Eagles would have ran the ball last year a little bit more, when you have the 3rd leading running back in yards per carry, the Seattle Seahawks game, not just Miles Sanders, the running backs totaled 9 rush attempts. Like,
it was crazy.
You can't even, like, even Madden players run the ball more than that. And it is not fun to run the ball in Madden. Like, real quick, shout out to my guys, Ari starting with the $5 super chat. He said, even as a Giants fan, I'll be mad if you turn Slay into another non-team Osawa. He said though, but that's never gonna happen. Listen, we had a offensive line coach as a defensive coordinator. Like Juan Castillo. I love you, Andy Reid, but what were you thinking?
He's like, was that like a bet? He's like, yo, bet me a chicken sandwich that I can make Juan Castillo into it. Like, bro, this is what we doing over here. We all saw that, just like we all saw that. You know, Avante Maddox is not a CB2, or right. Casey Matthews is not his brother, or how many? We could go on, man. We say Nate Gary is not a serviceable linebacker, maybe special teams, but we see it every year. There's one part of the defense or offense we like. Why are you doing this? Mac Hollins is not a wide receiver too,
and he'll tell you that he told you he don't want to play.
We do this every year. Like, this is like clockwork.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nnamdi as an actor, though.
Yeah. Shout out to my guy Eminem. He is. I mean, hopefully he's playing. Man, when I hear Nnamdi, though, I know he had a horrible career, but the first thing that pops in my head is when, what's his name, Jacoby Jones, or who was the guy for the Baltimore Ravens? He was just their punt returner.
Jacoby Jones.
Jacoby Jones. It's something Jacoby. I know it's something Jacoby, but he was their punt returner, special team player, and he
was like a Super Bowl MVP. Jacoby.
He wasn't he?
Didn't he have a return in the Super Bowl?
So Flacco didn't win MVP that year?
Let me.
But I just remember Jacoby just beating Nnamdi on a straight out 1-on-1 game, and I was just like, "Yup,
stiff." He was stiff as shit. Like, I remember when he signed, I was in a Chinese restaurant somewhere in like Jersey somewhere, and I was hugging dude. He didn't know English, and I was just like, "We signed Nnamdi. We signed Nnamdi," and he's like, "I don't understand what you're saying." Jacoby Jones, yeah,
Jacoby Jones, but I don't think he won it over Flacco. Like, Flacco was that dude that run.
Let's see. He went on. Let's see.
He was good.
Let's see. I don't know. We're gonna have to come back to that though.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. But yeah, so you know what I mean. Like, when I look at the Eagles, I'm still optimistic. I just think that, again, quarterback question mark. Whether you want to say it's a bad question mark or a good question mark, it's a question mark. That to me, my personal perspective is I think he's going to do better than worse, and I see the upside. I just hope it's brought out. Coaching staff is a question mark, and as you said, just the general morale that was so Debbie Downer in 2020 for the Philadelphia Eagles in the locker room, it's gone. So, like, we somehow won 4 games last year. One of them being we tied a game. We played close to Pittsburgh. We were 2-point conversion away from Baltimore. We hung in with the Giants, who only won 6 games, but played other competition tough. Like, we were in games and we were a legit dumpster fire. Like, I just think that if we could stay healthy, Howie Roseman is making some key signings, not no put us over the top Super Bowl signings, but at least signings that will tell the fan base, like, look, we're not going to roll over and just keep taking last while we try to trust the process or rebuild. You know, we possibly got 3 first-round picks next year. If everything plays out good, that's 3 first-round picks. Like, the draft doesn't look as deep skill-wise as this one, but could you imagine if we had pick number 12, number 20, and number 27? You're talking about J.C. Horn, Rashad Bateman, or you're talking about a lot of things. You know what I mean? So,
or Russell Wilson,
or yeah.
I'm not even saying that. But I mean, people are saying that. I'm just like, let's see what Jalen Hurts is.
Let me ask you this, and listen, I'm a big fan that says give Jalen Hurts a try, but let me ask you this. If Deshaun Watson wasn't in that situation, and that situation is real rough, I'm not even I don't want to talk about that at all. But if Deshaun Watson was caseless, do you think Howie Roseman would try to do something with the arsenal we just gathered?
Well, you see how bad that situation is with Houston. Like that, I don't even think he could return to that. Like the fact that they want to, he doesn't want to be there. They know they got to get rid of him. But now with this situation, I don't know. Even if he does come out clear, like
He still
some of
might
the
be a
stuff,
freebie. He might be somebody's freebie, but like every team's gonna be suspect to jump on that because you don't want to be that team. Like, hey, listen, it's rough. Like, it's hard to comment on. It's really hard to comment.
I was about to make. I'm not. I can't even say nothing, bro. I just feel like I hope he figures his ish out, bro. Man, listen. I mean, before all that stuff happened, I would have been like, wow. I would have gave up 3 picks for him, for Deshaun.
Where would you rank him prior to this stuff? Like just quarterback play.
Little under top 5.
Ooh,
top
right
6.
in there, right in there, right in there. Yeah, I mean the talent's there. The talent's there.
But I feel like I mean, he was doubted after coming out of the draft. I mean, he showed his worth.
They started Tom Savage over him.
It's incredible. I mean, they drafted Mitchell Trubisky over him.
Yep.
Come on, man. Come on.
This just goes to show you
we could be GMs, bro.
It goes to show you how. And listen, Ryan, what is his name? Ryan Pace is the GM for the Bears.
Okay.
He still has his job.
I'm telling you. I mean, he did bring in Nick Foles. I mean, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, Nick Foles can only have success one place.
Where do we send our applications in?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I mean,
looking on Indeed.
Howie Roseman. It's almost like he went through this GM rehab program where he met with Dorsey, and he was like, it was like his Dorsey therapist. I was GM therapist. Like, okay, what did I do wrong? What mistakes do I need to make? Like, what would you do in this draft? I think I'm wondering what he learned, and maybe Andy Weidel is like, bro, you maybe should have listened to us. Or see, the other scenario that people don't talk about enough is Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman are one man more than people think they are. So if he's got Howie's ear, like you wonder how he keeps living season after season. Maybe it's because dude has, I mean, Lurie's in his ear.
Yeah,
and he's making the calls.
Low key, we could think it's Howie Roseman ignoring the scouts. It could be the big boss telling Howie Roseman to ignore the scouts, and that's why it's hard to really figure that stuff out. And that's why, to me, if you're an owner, I mean, if you want to be the GM, then don't hire a GM. So we know it's you. You know what I mean? But like, if you pay someone to do a job, let them do the job. I'm not hiring a plant manager in my company just to be in my company 24/7. No, I want to go out. I want to see the ratings. I want to see the reports. We're doing good. Keep doing y'all thing. Here, take that. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be there every day inside the nitty gritty stuff, learning the product down low. If I'm paying people to do it, but that's a good thing. That's a great comparison, not comparison, but statement you made. John Dorsey, when he came here, Eagle fans, including myself, were like, you know what?
Hype. Use hype.
We were like, we got a guy who can work with Howie. We saw what he did with Cleveland in the turnaround. I don't like his decision on hiring Freddie Kitchen, but draft wise, let him talk to Howie. And he didn't get let go. He moved to Detroit. And I was like, hopefully, my guy Vic 3, channel member, he said, hopefully he left a layout of what you should do in the draft, and hopefully Howie still has that.
It would be funny if Howie went to the draft. He has a little wristband. Oh, we're gonna call this play right here. Okay.
Yeah.
I got my wristband. The John Dorsey. What would John Dorsey do? Bracelet. Yeah. You know what I mean? That'd be nice.
Yeah, but let me ask you this though. And again, and people. A lot of people who still credit Howie Roseman for the Super Bowl. I do. But look, what Howie did that season was not draft people. He did what he always done well, is get free agents and trades. Like, look at the acquisitions we had that year who were key players. From Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith was still crucial as a deep threat. He still had a little bit of gas left in the tank. Chris Long, Patrick Robinson. These were all either trades or free agent signs, and they were a big part. And the other people who were big parts were most of Chip Kelly's leftover draft.
Yeah, and the name that, because I'm a certified Joe Douglas stan, I thought he was the right guy to, put Howie in a position to win and picking some of the players in the offseason. I felt like that was his perfect football guy to match with. And then you had Andy Weidel under him. I thought that was a good group. And I just felt like once he left, I was like, oh, here we go. But I think Howie, his ability to miss consistently in the draft. You go back and look at what 2016. It's insane, man. You can't win like this. You look at the Saints and what they did to get back on track. And you talk about hitting on players, a Marshawn Lattimore. You talk about hitting on what's his name, the running back,
Kamara.
What, third round?
Yes.
Meanwhile, who we drafted in the fourth round? Pumphrey. We're doing Pumphrey season. And just you're talking about the linemen they drafted as well, out of Wisconsin. They hit on so many picks, and that's how they got back and for cheap. And this is where we need to in this draft. You hit on these picks, bro. Like this, we could get back on track, man. We could get back on track essentially if they hit on these picks, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I say this all the time. Like, you can only go so far with free agency because they're a free agent, meaning the only way they're really going to leave their spot is if you overpay. Like the big names in free agency, you have to kind of overpay. The first 2 days, you're going to overpay because why am I going to leave my comfy spot here unless you're going to pay me more? If you're going to give me the same thing that they're going to give me or medium rate, I'm going to stay here where I know the playbook, where I had my Pro Bowl season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get paid. And free agency is a great sprinkle, but you got to get your core from the draft. That's where you have talented players for 4 or 5 years on the low. But we can't do that. And that's what my biggest gut wrench. Listen, after I slept on it multiple days, I'm okay with going to 12 because what it gave the future. In football, you can turn your team around quickly. Now, the Miami Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns didn't turn their franchise around quickly, but when they started getting picks, they started turning it around quickly. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so 3 first-round picks, multiple picks next year, maybe possibly moving off older heads if the situation goes bad. And that's where I'm at too. Like, listen, I want to keep all the 30 club if the Eagles are over 500 next season and they're winning games. But if we come out and we're still kind of in shambles, well, then the 30 club who's making X amount of dollars need to be looked at to let go. Because if we're in shambles the first 7 weeks, not saying we can't turn it around the next season, but most likely it's going to be 2 or 3 before we're really where we're at. And them 30-year-olds don't got 2 or 3 years. They only got 2 years. So to me, it's like, it's week 7 and we're 4-3. I'm cool with it. We're week 7 and we're 2-5. And we lost to some stinkers and we got a hard schedule. It's like, look, what are we doing? You might have to move some of these bigger,
start trading some of those pieces off. But like, what happens if Jalen Hurts shows you that he's maybe the truth? I think this is the only situation that you might like to see is like the fact that in 2021, his cap hit is 1.3. 2022 1.6, 2023 1.9. For 4 years, $6 million. This is what you're getting, and if instead of paying that high salary, I mean, you got to pay the piper. That's what it costs. I mean, yeah. Look what Kirk Cousins has been. He's been stealing.
Cousins won. He was the first.
He changed the game. He
won the franchise tag. He played franchise tag and he won. Tag
He did. I mean, the fact that we're paying like 1.6% of our cap is at the quarterback position. That's the only thing that you could hang your hat on. Hopefully he plays decent, but I'm still in the later rounds, man. You see a guy like Kyle Trask out there from Florida. His his offensive coordinator is our QB coach. I think you got to bring in another quarterback to spice things up, to develop. That would be interesting.
What round? So what's the earliest round you would be willing to part ways with a draft pick to get a quarterback?
I'd hope for the 4th round, and that's where Trask would be.
That 123.
I mean, if I got a 4th round grade on him, or Kelly Mond from Texas A&M, like
he's been moving up a little bit though. That Kelly Mond.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm not giving anything else up higher than a 4th. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna use that 4th, and that's part of that trade. That's another piece that you could add to develop. Who has a relationship with your QB coach?
That would put Brian Johnson in a bad spot. My former quarterback and my guy since he was 3.
He's like, yeah. He's looking at him. Come on, bro. Come on, Unc. Like imagine like you're in QB room. You're like, come on, Unc. Like it's a weird dynamic. But hey, man, it's all about the relationship. Your QB's got to be together, because when you go to the sidelines and your QB is over here and he's telling you what he's saying, that QB room is very important. And if Joe Flacco's in there thinking he's elite, bro, like stand back. I need you to tell him what you're seeing.
Yeah, so we didn't talk about that at all. What is your take? What was your first reaction when it was like Joe Flacco, $3.5 million, 1-year deal?
I just thought it was, it is what it is. I just felt like everybody didn't want to come here. The players that you thought you could get here they didn't want to come here, bro, and you were left with Flacco. So I feel like you bring the veteran guy in. It is what it like. He's saying that he's like, I'm not here to like, teach. I'm like, all right, whatever, bro.
Yeah, he was also there to compete with the Jets and the Broncos, and he found himself on the bench.
No, I just feel like he could be serviceable in a pinch. I've never really liked Flacco at all.
I never been big. I mean, he had that terrific playoff run, but like, come on, Cinderella stories are once in a lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a repeatable. I liked it in the sense that it kind of let me know that we weren't taking the quarterback most likely. It made me feel a little bit more that way, but then you heard the rumors like we try to go to 3 first, failed at 3, went back to 12, and it's just like, again, I think Philadelphia does it's just really bad at keeping everything under wraps. Like, Carson Wentz, whether you loved him or hate him, there was a lot of storylines that developed negative around him. And I'm thinking with that going, it should be a little bit more quiet, a little bit more focus driven, but still Howie Roseman is a guy who likes to create weird atmosphere.
Yeah, I feel like the stuff that I was hearing, it was just like the relationship between Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson was like super toxic, like the kind of like screaming matches, and it just was not right. I was talking to you pre-show about, some of the players were saying that they had never seen a GM and a owner so hands-on like they've seen here. And the fact that if you're Dougie P, you won a Super Bowl, big balls, Doug, and you gotta answer to Mans to like set the roster on game day, has to go through how everything seemed weird. Even the way that Travis Fulgham was being played, the fact that everything just seemed off. Alshon comes back, gets his snaps back. Bro, like we mismanaged a lot of things, and I wouldn't blame Doug for wanting to leave if he felt like he lost control of what he was doing here and the way that was going. If he felt like, the fact that Jim Schwartz, I'm going to retire. Now he's like, I'm back in Tennessee.
Let's go. Yeah, you can tell there was.
He's like, I'm drinking my Jack Daniels in Tennessee. He's feeling good. He's like, I'm out of retirement. I'm not in Philly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just semi-retired. But yeah, I agree 100% with you. And it's like, look, in the sense that I believe Doug was right in a sense that, you hire a head coach, let him do his job. Now, I'm not going to stick up for Doug. Again, the lack of running, the lack of putting Carson Wentz in a better position. I mean, all that stuff that we could talk about, but come on now. You can't have Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie on the practice field, like picking and choosing and doing this and just overriding your coach, because that's that Jerry Jones symptom where it's like, I'm gonna go past my head. Look, if my head coach yells at me, I just walk into my owner's office, and if I'm a high paid dollar guy, he gonna listen to me. If I'm a Lurie guy, Doug Peterson can't tell me nothing. You know what I mean? And you can't have that on the football field. You need to have unity. And when I look at the only thing that really shocked me in the whole thing is when Lurie was like, you know what, Doug, give me your best package. And he was like, I want to bring back dang, I lost his name already.
Press Taylor.
Press Taylor. Yes.
And Press was probably sitting outside the office like, remember me? I found the Philly special. That was me. He was just like, he's like, give him the worst setup so I get axed. I mean, it is what it is. And the funny thing is, what if we don't know that Lurie and Howie were behind some of these picks, and they felt the type of way? They're like, yo, some of these picks were ours that we won a Super Bowl with. Some of the guys that we brought in here, maybe they felt a certain way. They're like, hey, if we're dabbling, if we're meddling now, but again, like in terms of draft, where they missed their window of opportunity to like this whole new norm. It became the new storm. Like if you had those picks that you hit on in the last couple of years, you would have been good money. The fact that they haven't been able to develop players and bring in skill players to like really flourish and be at the back end of the roster and to be the next man up. But again, like if you're going to look at last year from a positive angle, look at how many players on the back end of the roster that got playing time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got to see reps. I'm like, yo, give me more Jack Driscoll. Give me more Nate Hibbert. I don't want to see I want to see what they got. Mailata, look at Mailata, man.
Big time, yeah. And again, like you were elaborating on that a little bit ago, that again, that was the Howie Roseman move when it was like Mailata was playing good, but Jason Peters makes more money, get on the field. TF13, Travis Fulgham playing pretty well. Alshon makes more money, get on the field. You know what I mean? It was the bigger dollar players who they kept forcing back on the field because of where we were at with our division. I think if we are in any other division by week 9, you're like, I want to see all the young heads. Bring them in week 9, week 10. If we're in a normal division, because we were so piss poor at that time, you know what I mean? We started winning, we were always in the game. We were in the game all the way up to the Dallas game, bro.
Yeah. See, no, I want to ask you a question. Like, how were you feeling when we had the potential to like make the playoffs and you knew the team was like major ass? Were you like, go team, like let's win this one out? Were you like, give me the high draft picks?
Listen, shout out to my guy Philly Fresh, who's in the building, another Eagles content creator. We have a little thing that we call Battle Birds Podcast. It's me, my guy Fresh, and Gate City. And we talked about this every week because we do a post game and a pregame and a post game. And we talked about this all the time. It's like, look, I want the draft pick because this team needs a lot. And we're not just getting an early draft pick, you're getting an early draft pick in every single round. Like when you were saying a guy might fall to the third, he's not falling to the end of the third. If he might fall to the third, it's in the beginning of the third. So you have your chances on all them guys. But at the end of the day, you wake up on Sunday with a chance to just poop all over the Cowboys, Washington, and Cowboy fans. And as a content creator on here, they're tied in with us. Like, I speak to the entertainer, the real Ed Oliver, some Cowboy content creators, and you want to be able to toot your horn, and it's a sport. So I was saying, look, when we went into that Cowboys game, I wanted to win, and oh boy, was I feeling myself in the first half. And then I got smacked back down to reality. Jalen Hurts looked legitly like a rookie. He looked like a bad rookie in the second half of the Cowboys game. And then I just took I was all aboard the choo-choo train of losing against Washington, but not that way. I would have played Sudfeld the whole game. I would have never did what Doug did, but I was bored.
I mean, some of the players that I heard from, they said that they knew that the tank was in. They just didn't think they would go that route like that.
Yes.
But they knew that the tank was in. I mean, the fact half of the roster is not even playing.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on, man. You knew it. You knew what was up, but and then you saw Jalen. Did you see Jalen Hurts on the sideline? He was like, that's not right. That's not right.
Yeah.
You know,
and as a competitor, as a fan watching the competitor, the player, you want to see that from him. You know what I mean? You want to see that from him. And listen, I wanted to lose, but it's just like it looked bad. Like you put Nate Tankfield, that's his name, and he signed with the Niners today.
Did he? Yeah. Was it yesterday he signed? Or he signed today?
Yesterday, I think. Yeah, yesterday.
Shout out to Philly, the podcast in the building.
Facts with a $1.99 super chat. Definitely one of the guys that we get on here as well, man. Great content creator. If you guys haven't subbed Philly the podcast, go ahead, hit that button. Both of these guys, first of all, you know what the search bar looks like on YouTube. You know what I mean? It's right above your heads if you're watching it the other way. Maybe it is. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of great YouTube content creators.
Yeah,
and YouTube is a way different space. Like, and that's where we're trying to do some stuff here in YouTube. But I feel like, man, there's a lot of great content, man.
Facts. So listen, definitely hit up 4th and John on YouTube. Definitely check out their other platforms where they really go hard, the website and stuff of that sort. Check out my guy, Philly the podcast, and Philly Fresh, who was up in here. And also, y'all watching my thing, so I'm not going to tell you to subscribe, even though some of you guys be watching my content who are not subscribed. Like almost 40% of my views are not subscribed. So hit that button.
It's got analytics, man. You work for Howie Roseman over there? You know all the analytics.
I mean, I look them over once in a while. You know what I mean? I got to check it out. See what I'm doing right or wrong. You know
They're like, Philly Mike, you check the analytics. Should we go on 4th down?
Yeah, right. Now, let me ask you, though, real quick. Our new coach, we don't know his tendencies. If you are a coach of a football team, are you more of a go for it on 4th down or play it safe? Or do you try to find that line of where we're at on the field? All that plays a part. Are you an analytic guy on that? Or are you a go with your gut? Or where do you stand on that?
I think it's having a feel for the game. I thought Doug last season was a habitual line stepper. I was like, man, are you really gonna? I was like, you don't need to be going for like 2 here. Just kick the ball, man. I feel like if you have a feel for the game, sometimes you just know that you are going to get the ball back. And the way that your defense is playing, if they're not playing well enough, should we go for it here? And can we stop them? But I think for me, it's a feel for the game. Like if I have to check analytics, what are the? I believe in analytics, but sometimes a feel for the game should override that situation.
Yeah. I agree. Doug used to come back and be like, "Why'd you go for it on?"
Yo, he was playing Madden, man. Like I was like, bro, like I don't even go for it. I go for it on 4th down in all Maddens, but I'm just saying it was a little too much.
But there was one time we scored a touchdown, and a field goal would have put us up 3. Field goal would have put us up. I mean, the extra point would have put us up 3. He went for it. We didn't get it. And he said the number said to go for it. Like, no, because now you can lose by a field goal. Like if you kick the extra point, the worst case scenario is a overtime game. You know what I mean? Like, huh? Did I understand? Like, listen, I love Dougie P. You know what I mean? I read some of the book. I'm not a guy who reads books. And so I read some of the book. It got a little too long for me. So
my girl bought me the book. It just sits on it sits on a shot. I just look at it.
Yeah. Every once in a while, right? But make a movie and I'll watch it. Make a movie and I'll watch it. But listen, I love him to death. But the last year, he did so many things that I just couldn't grasp. I couldn't grasp what he was doing with Miles Sanders. Why he wasn't rolling Carson Wentz out. Why he didn't move a lot of motion. Try to
pre-snap motion.
that motion up this offense. Why he just, again, Howie Roseman was involved. Who knows where that plays a part? But there was just so many whys, and I just like.
I could even mention tempo. Like like if Wentz gets in a rhythm in the tempo, why aren't you doing more tempo? Like if you know that he needs to get some of these rhythm throws in there and let it rip, then let it rip. But again, man, like when I was starting the scouting academy this year, taking a scouting academy right now, and our first project was to look at one of your favorite players and like look at his first game and his last game and compare it. And the fact that it was a good exercise, but the way that Wentz looked compared to the first week and that Green Bay game when he was like looked like he had the MC Hammer feet. And he was like he was a shell of himself. And I was like, bro, I was almost like, man, I was like, he looked like a different. And I've watched Wentz so many times where the body language was completely gone.
Yeah.
And you knew. So I feel like man, last season was just the fact that you couldn't get him comfortable and roll him some even moving pockets. Try something new. How many trick plays? How many times have we seen them go for it on two? But how many trick plays did you see from the Eagles?
You saw it in the Washington game.
I mean, the fact that they had Jalen Hurts in playing slot and throw. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, and that's why like I try to boil down 2020 into like how can you grade the young prospects? How can you really say, well, this guy had a bad season because of 2020? You can't put that. Like Derek Barnett, question marks have came to me from his whole career. I see the potential there. It's just the all field being healthy, injured, healthy attitude. Like you see some games he's an animal, unstoppable. And then some games, whether it's a lingering injury, he's slower. He's getting bonehead penalties. He's just cracking people. So it's like that's my knock on Derek Barnett. Other guys, I'm not like, well, in 2020 he was bad. We got to move on, huh? 2020 was bad. Like there was nobody good. You can say people were serviceable. Like look at BG. Shout out to him for making a Pro Bowl, but the dude had like 8 sacks in the first 8 games, and then got like 1 sack the rest of the season. Like,
yeah, I just felt like it was a down season, and then the fact that I think some people will look at the situation that everyone's dealing with COVID and not like. Some people like wouldn't even blink an eye. I'm like, yo, these players are people too, man. I'm like, you might say just play through it. But when I'm hearing from some of these guys, they felt like disconnected and they go home and they're young rookie. Like imagine going from as a rookie, having all this money, finally made it, and you can't even go nowhere. And you just sitting inside a box and then going to practice, going home. Going to practice, going home. Can't see nobody. So I feel like some of these players were disconnected. And I feel like some other teams did a better job setting their players up for success, like whether it be in virtual meetings or like trying to get them out of their comfort zone. I mean, shit, I'm getting back to normal right now. Thank God for these live streams, bro. These live streams held me down over the last year. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely. If I wasn't doing YouTube, I mean, it'd have been rough trying to connect and stuff. But yeah, I agree 100%. But we are going on an hour and 48 minutes. Shout out to everybody who's still in the chat. Appreciate you guys 100%. Like I said, make sure you smash that like button on the way out. We're going to be ending this in a little bit. Thank you very much, Gail, for coming on. We definitely got to do this again, especially once we get some more news. We get closer to the draft. We start hearing the leaks because we got one of the leakiest leaks when it comes to just organizations and general managers and Howie Roseman. So they're going to put it out there, some of the guys we're looking at and stuff like that, so we can break some more stuff down if you're interested on coming back on when some more news breaks.
Yeah, man, it's smokescreen season. But I feel like it's going to work its way out. You know, there might be a couple other. Hey, maybe that 8 spot is a trade up spot by somebody. It could be, Carolina trying to get more picks, someone could move up there potentially.
That's true. That's true. That's true. You never know. But like I said, and definitely, after the draft, when we really know kind of where we're at, definitely, like I said, I'll definitely come on one of yours. Definitely come back on. Maybe we get you on the whole Battle Birds podcast. I see my guy Philly Fresh still in here. We chop it up. Like I said, we got a lot to talk about after the draft before, there's a time right around after the draft where, football gets dry because it's like there's nothing like let's get it. It's like that. I think it's like that July area, that late June, early July, where you're just dying for August. You're just dying to see a preseason game.
Man, I'm a psycho, man. I'm always, nothing's ever dry. I'm always looking for something. It's like 3:00 in the morning. They go, what are you watching? Like offensive guards at 3 a.m. Like, go to sleep, bro. Like, you can do this tomorrow. You don't gotta be like trying to find nuggets. Like, go to sleep, but no days off, bro.
No days off. And the off season really should be called the on season because, and I said this to with a couple of the guys I had on here as well. Like the all season, you never know. You get the dun-na-na, and now you got to start thinking and changing your game plan and talking about it. But like I have a set thing when it's a season. So I talk about the game. We pre-game, post-game, Sunday's game. Monday's the reaction. Tuesday's a little free for all, whether we're really good or really bad, things we got to fix. Wednesday, I try to break down the all 22, hopefully of a good game. Thursday and Friday, I do a live stream, just getting everybody's take. I do a call in sometimes on Thursday. Friday, I'm putting out my preview. Saturday's like maybe I'll do a live stream or not, and then Sunday's a game, and it's just repeat, rinse and repeat. You know what I mean? Off season, it's like you never know what you're gonna get. You can have a very impactful one. I'm driving home yesterday and I get oh snap, we signed Eric Wilson. I thought we were broke. You know what I mean? I thought we were broke.
Yeah. I mean, the way I feel like Kevin Hart, the way that our cap space is set up, like, could we afford certain players? Then we sign Wilson. I'm like, hey man, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. How much we got left now? I felt like this is, being broke is not a fun place to be in, but you're always asking your friends like, hey, how much we got in the cap now?
Yeah.
What do you got? 3 mil right now?
I'm not even sure. I thought we were right around 3 million. Then we did this though. So I don't know where we're at. I really don't.
How much? And Howard was like a vet minimum, wasn't he?
Yeah. That's what I read. And I didn't even talk about the Howard signing. And we didn't even talk. We talked about Eric Wilson. We talked about some of the things. We should have brought up Howard too, because I honestly think he could be a vital piece if used right. You know what I mean? But it's like, just don't hit his shoulder. It might sting for a long time. Like, be careful. You know what I mean?
I mean, he can run the inside-outside zone. He get that short yardage. I feel like the most slept-on part of his game is his blocking ability. Because when I look at Boston Scott and Corey Clement, they're not a consistent blockers. So if Sanders is off the field, you want another guy that can sit here and block, get the short yards if you need to. Is he a major threat out of the backfield? No lie. Have you watched any Javonte Williams from UNC?
I like him. What do you think you can get him though?
He's going. He's probably going second.
He's riding, yeah.
I would love if he was in the third, but I don't think that's happened. I mean, even Carter out of UNC. If you're talking about a different flavor, skill set out of the backfield, I mean, you could draft those two and lock it in for the next 4 years if you wanted to. But I feel like, that power element of the running game is one of the most important things. I think you were talking about, years previous when we ran the ball, having Hurts in a running game that he can rely on, that he doesn't have to do too much, use his mobility, play action, and play off of all that. That would be nice, man.
And play action only works when you're running the ball successfully. Man, if you're running for 3.2 yards a clip, I don't care if you fake it in the running back's belly. Go ahead and run for another 3.2. You know what I mean? It only works when you're running successfully. And let's not forget, Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate in 2017. We did not have a number one rusher, but we were third in the NFL in rushing. We had that dual head monster and LeGarrette Blount and Jay Ajayi. So we didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher. but we had running backs that ran the ball heavy because when you're third in the NFL in rushing overall, it's a nice rush attack, and that helped Carson Wentz. It helped the play action. It made the big plays look bigger because then you got Nelson Aguilar going down the seam for a 60-yard touchdown. These are things we've been lacking. We have not ran the ball nowhere near what we should since the Super Bowl, and it was Doug. Every year got worse and worse and worse. Like I said, how do you have a game where your total running back room touches the ball 9 times? Like that can't happen.
Nah,
if one guy touches the ball 9 and the other guy touches it 8, you're still talking about, 17 rushes. That's still low in my book, but it's something. But total 9?
I mean, the way that Miles Sanders is breaking off runs, right? Like the fact that he's got 75 plus yard runs on the season last year. I mean, you gotta utilize that ability. But then you're wondering, like, do we know something? Do they know something we don't know about? The fact that he was walking on crutches after that Seattle game at the end of the last 2 years ago. Can his body take the beating? Enter Javonte Williams. But that's not happening. That's not happening.
I know. But I agree. I think Miles Sanders still has a tremendous upside, but he hasn't showed he can get through a whole season. You know what I mean? Like LaShawn McCoy was shifty and small, but he was durable. I mean, I got to see it before I'm putting all my eggs in the basket on the Miles Sanders train. And you see how the league values running backs nowadays. Unless you're Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry, you're like, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
But I mean, I even feel that's like I used to play running back, and like I love the position, and I love the way that I don't devalue them in the sense of when you're putting together a team, but in terms of contract wise nowadays, man, this is why I feel like you bring another back through the draft, you're not overpaying or having to, like, I would love to be in a situation where I'm not like threatened by Miles Sanders leaving. I'd be like, all right, well, we're not going to overpay if we have a young buck. I mean, look at all the teams that are in the playoffs last year with running games. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns. Two-head with Chubb leading the way. You talk about the Bucks. You talk about the Saints had 2 backs. You talk about you can go on and on. Look at all the playoff teams. They all had them. Bills had two solid backs.
They didn't use them though.
Yeah,
the Bills were on that Doug Peters. Yo, there was one game where I think they ran the ball like 3 times.
Yeah, the Chiefs had triple up on the backs.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like I don't want to overpay. Have to overpay for Miles Sanders 5 years from now. I want to use him up.
Yeah, it's sad to say, and if I was talking to Miles Sanders, I wouldn't. But it's like, yeah, get the most out of him in these 5 years, and then it is what it is at the point. But real quick, shout out to my guy Robert Dredden before we get up off here. Right around 2 hours grinding for you guys with a $4.99 super chat. He said, "What up, fellas? Those base heads on Kingston and North Philly are really Dallas Cowboy. Makes sense." When we do the math, hashtag go Birds draft gold. We're not even settling for silver. It's all gold for 2021. We need that big time. But
I'm trying to get me some fronts, some gold fronts.
There you go.
Timmy Jernigan gold fronts.
Be just gleaming on the podcast.
It's been a while since I need that team. You know, those teams had character, man. Chris Law.
So many guys who stood out in the locker room, guys who had high character.
Malcolm Jenkins.
It's just the list goes on, and BG's still here doing it, but you need more. You need a handful of character guys, glue guys who just will grind, pick up guys, because, like, let's be honest, the Eagles play like poop in that Falcons game. We grinded through it, but what happened? We were able to come together and have 2 back-to-back games as a team on offense where we were just, I mean, that Eagles offense against the Vikings and the Patriots was just unexplainable. It was unexplainable. So it was great. And just to real quick talk about the running backs, I agree. You got to listen. You were naming all the teams that were in the playoffs, but let's just go back to us. When the last time we were contenders, we had a dual head running game. Last time we were contenders,
triple head,
yeah. Because Corey Clement was a baller. Now I call him Corey Cement. He be running in cement, bro.
You're like, yeah, what you got oatmeal in your shit? No, I mean he's a. I would say if you go back and watch that Super Bowl performance he had, bro, come on, like what he did as an undrafted free agent,
Wisconsin,
out of Wisconsin, I mean, and that was Joe Douglas's guy, but I'm just saying in terms of like what he did,
it was beautiful.
In the Super Bowl, no flinch.
Let me ask you this question,
man.
Was that a touchdown? Did he get his boat? Did he get it?
Oh yeah. Little rockabye. Yeah, real runs though. He had it control, but you can rock.
Were you nervous?
I was nervous.
Were you nervous about the Zach Ertz thing? I wasn't.
No, I was not nervous.
Everybody in the room I was in was like, you saw what happened with Jesse James and the Steelers.
I knew it was, and then what's his name? Collinsworth and Al Michaels trying to like poo-poo all over it. I was like, come on, man. That's a touchdown.
I muted it instantly when they were trying to poo-poo over it.
Yeah, man. But hey, man, we got that dub. Were you on Broad Street that night?
Nah. Oh, yeah. For the parade? Yeah.
No, I mean after they won.
No, not right after they won.
Best night of my life, man. Oh, it was my birthday too. My birthday was the Super Bowl. That's amazing, right?
That's amazing. Like
that was amazing. Best day ever, dude.
Once in a lifetime. No.
This is we're gonna win more.
Your birthday won't be on it no more. I'm saying because the 17 weeks now.
I know. I saw that.
See, I wasn't cutting the Eagles short. I'm just saying you ain't gonna get that birthday Super Bowl again.
I saw that. I was like, man, listen. I used to have like Super Bowl birthdays all the time. So I'm like, how you feeling about that 17 game?
Listen, at the end of the day, as an Eagle fan, I'm nervous. It's one more week we can get hurt. But as a football fan, I'm not gonna say no to more football. Come on.
So does that rule? There's the fantasy football playoffs. They can push that game back too?
Yeah, you just push it back one. Still, everything's good, I guess.
Vic 3 says that was his dad's birthday too. Shout
out to you, Vic 3, channel member to the community. And listen, we do a with the channel members. Now that I got a lot of channel members, I'm gonna see what we're gonna do. But I do a Philly Talk podcast fantasy football league too, where we all chip in and we play a thing. Like I always done one my whole life with my peeps in my who I know, my job and whatnot. But we did it last year the first time because again, I've only been doing this for a year and a half. So,
I mean, more power to you, man. This is year like 14 for me in the game.
Yeah. And before I did this, I knew about 4th and John. Like I knew about the website and stuff, E-Rock and you guys. I'm like, yo, it's cool. And to be honest, shout out to Philly 500, Laura Brunson, and I did streams with them and I love them. And I actually, I got their phone number. We stay in contact.
Yeah, those guys are great, bro.
All the time. But listen, I never really clicked on YouTube to actually listen to Eagles stuff for the simple fact I didn't know it was there. And it's like, I'm watching the games, I'm talking about it. I go to the internet for it, but not YouTube. And then when I started doing this, I started seeing it and I'm like, wow, these guys have been doing it way before me. And they show love and stuff. And it's all love at the end of the day. But
yeah, man, the community out here is amazing. I think there's a lot of great up and coming talents out here, man. And it's always great to get different opinions, bring new energy, getting a closer look at the way the Eagles fans are. Yo, we're nuts, man. We are nuts.
Yeah, and all good. That's why I do something like this. Like, the StreamYard thing is great. You know what I mean? So what I do is sometimes I'll do a live stream and I'll put the link in the chat, leave it pinned up there, and I let the people come in and talk their talk. Like if you're a radio station, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It start getting crazy, you just cut them off real quick.
Yeah, last year we did the draft and I streamed for 24 hours.
Wow.
In 3 days. It was like, yo, by the last day, I was like, I'll never do this again. But I'm doing it again this year, so I will be. You guys live stream for the draft as well?
Yeah. Definitely doing that. Hey, it's cool. Maybe we, we figure something out. Like with StreamYard is so crazy. I mean, you can have up to 10 people on this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I do it where I drop the link. I let anybody in the chat that want to come in and speak their mind on camera. And if they're a little bit shy and they don't want to show their face, you can keep it black and just let your voice talk. You know what I mean?
There's no reason to be shy out here, man.
Exactly.
We're all Eagle fans and we're all crazy. We all have an opinion. And I always tell people like, yo, if you're not, I mean, everyone's not, I think all Eagle fans feel like they're an expert on the Eagles. So give us your opinion, man. It's not
give us your expertise.
It's like, you talk about this. If you're here right now, you're one of you have the sickness in this, and it's like it's good to have an opportunity to like actually talk to other Eagle fans that are just as passionate about the Eagles as you. You know what I mean?
Philly 52, never forget Philly the podcast. He came through and we shouted him out and everything. That's my guy. Like I said, we had him on the channel as well. We're going to continue to grind with these guys and all that. Like I said, listen, I love the people who were here before me and the people who came after me. Because there's been a resurgence in Eagles content. Like I'm only a year and 8 months, a year and 9 months deep, but there's at least a handful of people who are after me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been podcasting for about 6 years, and then I've been writing. I was at NBC Sports before, I started 4th and John. So I mean, it's just great to see that. I think the shift of where content is being focused, and at the end of the day, it's also about authentic Eagle fans. You know what I mean? Like you have some people that are on the radio who are telling you about your Eagles that are fans of like other teams. They have all the ulterior motives, man. I want to know that the people that are telling me are invested just like I am. So
correct. And even like this, like real quick, shout out to my guy Moochie Robinson, one of the young grinders.
I know Moochie.
Hit over 500 subs. I think he's over there. He's grinding, balling. Moochie Robinson update. That's what he be calling it. I love it. But yeah, Philly Notion. Like I said, there's a bunch of great content out there, and it's cool when it comes from the fans. And there's been many people who I bring on here for the first time when on a call in, and they're like, you know what? I want to start my channel now. I'm like, yo, more power to you. Let me know when you do it. I'll throw you a sub. Like I said, it's just all about, just speaking your mind. And again, you're not going to have everybody agree with you, but I always tell everybody this: listen, we have one common goal, and that is to win. We might see a little bit different how we get there, but we want to get there. You know what I mean? We want to get there. It might be a little different.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of different vibes of Eagle fans too, man. I was out there in LA for the Wentz game where he got hurt. Yo, Cali Eagle fans are crazy too, man. Their tailgates are on a whole different vibe, but it's still Eagles fans and crazy, but it's a whole different vibe. It was incredible, except for Wentz getting hurt.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That was rough.
I saw Eagle fans crying on the Santa Monica Pier. Yeah, they were walking around lost, crying. It was a bad scene, but good time out there. Are you traveling for any games this year?
Nah.
If it's a possibility.
I'm thinking about it. Like I said, and listen, I'm not actually right in Philly. I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm about like 55 minutes, an hour away from the stadium.
Okay.
So I normally go to home games only. I've actually never been to a road game at all, but I go to at least 1 or 2 Eagle games. I went to every year except for this last year. I didn't go to none, of course. They had fans early, but it was early COVID, and then they shut the fans down. But I've never been to a road game.
We got to get you on a road trip.
Yeah. And like I said, I went to the divisional round, I went to 2 playoff games. I went to one when I was younger. Who were we playing against? I was younger, but the only other playoff game I went to was Atlanta in a divisional round. And it was cold that night, and that was just a wild game. Like I was in the opposite. I wasn't in the end zone. I was probably at like I want to say maybe like 20-yard line, but I was on the opposite side of Jalen Mills. and I could have sworn that was a pass interference, but thank God there was no call. You know what I mean? On Julio.
Yo, I've been going to every home game and
You got
doing
season tickets?
No, I just come across them.
Yeah.
Every game after I'm like a crackhead out there. I'm like, yo, who got me, bro? I need something. And so something always usually comes through. But I was there the Vikings NFC Championship. I took the biggest elbow to the back of my head when Patrick Robinson picked off that pass.
Ooh. And
I remember like vaguely. I probably woke up in the second quarter.
Dang,
yo,
bro.
this dude elbowed me in the back of my head, and I was just like, yo, where am I?
Was it an Eagle fan by accident or?
Yeah, Eagle fan, bro. And he was like, because we were standing room only. I bought a standing room only ticket, so we're sitting up there in the dude just elbowed me in the back of my head. I'm like, yo, where are we? Then I'm looking at the score. I'm like, yo, we're about to do this. We're about to do this. I think I had a concussion, man. But that's how it is, though.
My man getting kicked. Hey, listen, part of the Eagle season, everybody was getting injured, even the loyal fans buying a ticket to be in a stand-up room, just grinding it out. But hey, like I said, shout out to you, my guy. 2 hours and 11 minutes. Appreciate everybody who's still sticking in here. We just sharing stories and y'all still rocking with us. Greatly appreciated. Like I said, man, I got you on Twitter. Hit me up. He said, sorry about the elbow, bro. He was like, it was him, right? He was like he's like Philly 52. Why you do me like that?
Bro, man, I'm still feeling it.
But yeah, definitely. Like I said, we got a lot to talk about the rest of this off season. We'll have stuff to talk about during the season after the draft. You know, let me know what you want to do. Definitely get you on some collab podcasts or get back on here and we chop it up, because we're definitely going to have other topics where we just come in and get right to the meat and potatoes, because I can feel some spicy stuff happening right before and right after the draft. Hopefully it's good spicy news. I'm not trying to get on here and complain like, what do we just do?
No, I mean, this draft is I say this shit every year. I'm like,
it's Howie proof. You say it, but
I say I'm so excited for this draft. Like, and then I say this every year. This is like Christmas to me. This is like 365 years of like just waiting for this moment. The draft is my favorite thing, man. I used to go to them live all the time in New York City. So just watching it is amazing, bro.
Going to Cleveland?
I mean, I'm not.
Like, I can't because I'm streaming now. But
yeah. I wouldn't mind though. I wouldn't mind though if we had a nice setup.
Exactly, right. To be out there streaming a little bit, watching it live, that'd be cool if we could do that too. You know?
Do you know anyone going out there?
Nah.
All right.
But with that being said, shout out to everybody in the chat. Like I said, hit that like button on the way out if you haven't done it. But the last people in here are most likely the realest of the realest who hit the like button. Appreciate you guys. Like I said, this is my guy, Gail Saunders, Fourth and John co-founder. Check out the website. Check out their YouTube page. Definitely check them all out. And we will be back. He'll be on this channel again, and hopefully I'll be on his in the next couple weeks, months. We'll be talking more football. Until next time, y'all know what time it is. We out.
Yes, sir. Go Birds.
As always. Peace.